Hi beautiful people, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Zinhle. I do hope that you enjoy my content. Please do like and subscribe. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much guys for coming back. It is very much appreciated. In today's video, I'm talking all things undergrad, specifically how to cover the course content, practice questions in a short space of time, and actually pass your exams. If you've been following me or you've watched some of my videos, you would know that when I was doing my undergrad, I was very sick and I never had enough time to prepare for my exams. However, I was always able to come back, prepare and go write my exams and still pass, such that there were modules where I did well. I got distinctions, which I still feel like it was a miracle. But yeah, so for me, it was always about strategizing every time, and I'm going to be sharing those tips, hoping that they're going to help someone out there who may be in the same situation or who just didn't have enough time to prepare for the test or the exam. First thing you're going to do is you're not going to panic. You do this, you're gonna do this. You already know that you don't have enough time, therefore it's just time to strategize and stick to the plan and get ready for that test or that exam. So you're gonna plan, you're gonna come up with a plan of what where you're gonna study, when you're gonna study, how much time you can give in a day, like how many hours can you basically direct to studying, and also come up with a timetable. Very important you do that. You need to have a very good structure of how you're gonna do this. You don't want to wing it at all. There's no time to go winging in anything. The second thing that you're going to do is look at all your modules, right, and identify which modules or which topics do you need to prioritize based on your knowledge. So by now you should know which modules you are good at or which topics you are good at and which topics you are not. And if you don't know that by now, well, we'll get to a point where how you can identify that. So I'll give you an example with me. Management accounting. I was never good in costing at all, and it was something that I'd always known that I just need to prioritize and find a way to actually understand the concept. So identifying what you know and don't know so that you can basically direct your time accordingly. So that's the second thing you're going to do. The third thing is looking at the questions that you're going to be doing. So there's going to be a lot of questions that you're going to be presented with, and you sort of need to pick which questions to do, because there's not enough time for you to go through all the question papers that are out there. So you need to select this. You're gonna select the questions based on topics, and you're gonna say, okay, I am not as confident in topic A, B, and C, therefore I need to have a lot of questions that cover those topics. And also making sure that you are balancing this whole thing. You're looking at the modules that the topics that you are not as confident in, as well as the ones that you are confident but you still need to practice. So get those questions. Now you may be at a position where you're like, okay, so how many questions do I need to do for each module to be at a position where I feel confident enough to go write the exam? Unfortunately, at this point you do not have enough time, therefore you can't do all the questions that are out there, like I said. And it's really not about the number of questions that you go through. And also modules are different, and it's also about the time that you have. Modules are different. For example, in management accounting, for me, I always felt that I didn't need to do as many questions as possible. I only needed to understand the principle and do 2 or 3 questions, applying myself there, and that was it. Whereas in auditing, for example, the most important thing for me there was to master my exam technique, how I answer the questions, and it felt for me that I needed to do a lot of questions in auditing, practice and practice and practice. Whereas what I'm saying is that in auditing, I would do quite a lot of questions compared to management accounting. So it really goes per module. and also with the time that you have. So that's the third thing. So now we're going to move to the fourth, where you have to now practice and do the questions under exam conditions. And if you haven't been able to identify the topics that you feel you are good at, or the modules you are good at, so this is going to be your time. So the first thing I would do is, after I've picked all the questions, I would literally go straight to questions and start doing questions under exam condition. The first point in that time of doing the questions under exam condition and marking them, thoroughly marking them and reflecting, you will identify once again what you know and what you do not know, and from there you can then go back and do a revision on the modules or topics that you are not good at. So basically going back to step 2, where you were identifying. So if you were not able to identify from there, you can definitely identify when you start by doing questions. For me, I would literally dive into questions before I can even look at the content, because it really is going to give me like an idea of where I need to focus on if I didn't know. Then I will basically revise. So you also don't want to spend a lot of time making notes, reading the course content, and not really applying that. So figuring out a strategy of how you're going to do the revision. So for me, I'll give you an example. Management accounting. Management accounting was one of the modules where I felt that no matter how much time I'd spent reading the content, I still was not actually getting the concepts or the principles. So I felt that I needed someone to help me that. So I would do videos. I'd literally find videos on YouTube, or I'd go to campus and just find a group of people that I think they can help me. So nowadays you can literally just use YouTube, or get people online that can help you if you are in a similar situation as me. Because I knew that I didn't have to spend hours and hours by myself trying to understand that. I really needed someone to explain that to me. Then the modules like auditing, I never revised it, guys. Like auditing is one of those modules where I feel like it's all about doing. You really have to just sit there and practice. Yeah, it's just about practice, honestly. Exam technique. Auditing is almost, the question papers, you will notice that they're sort of the same. Like there's things that are like a repetitive. Perhaps you're gonna need to go and revise certain things, like for example your King Code, but I don't see someone sitting out there and reading the whole Bible of the standards. Like that book, those books are really thick, you're never gonna have enough time to go through everything that is in those books. And I'm sort of thinking now that perhaps there is assumed prior knowledge when you go into this plan of mine. And then financial accounting, also practice. Perhaps you would also go and revise certain topics that you don't understand, and a text as well. So diving into questions and identifying what you don't understand. Also, what is very important is when you do those questions, you do them under exam condition. And when you're marking them, you're not just ticking. You are marking, you are reflecting. Why did I not get this right? You are really asking those questions, because they're going to help you when you move on to the next question, and eventually help you into passing the exams. So those are the 4 things that I would do. I'll plan, okay, maybe 5. Don't panic. Plan. Identify what you're good at and not good at. Identify questions to do, and then dive into questions, practice and revise. 5 things. I've done this before and it has worked for me. The first time was the second time where I didn't have enough time to go practice. I only had 2 weeks. I was discharged in hospital on the 14th of April, I remember well, at 2015. And I had 2 weeks to go and prepare for my exams. And luckily that time I was not working, so I had the whole day to actually plan and study. I would wake up every single morning at 8 and I'll go to UNISA campus and I would spend the whole day there studying. My body was not in good shape for me to study for very, very long hours. So I used to just do like 8 hours in campus and I'll go home and sleep. You also want to prioritize sleeping as well, because you want to be fresh for the next day and be able to grasp what you need to grasp, so you're not going to be staying up for 12-15 hours trying to get through the course content, because the next day you're not going to be as energetic. So yes, those are my 5 tips that I think would help you to basically prepare in a short space of time. And I'm wishing you all the best, and I hope this works. Thanks.